So, hey everyone, I want to welcome you guys back to another edition. We're here to drop some gems for you today. And I'm joined by an amazing guest. We are with Kristin and Montel Jordan. And we're going to talk about their ministry, their platform, and all the great things they're doing. I'm not going to Steve Harvey this thing to death. So, I'm going to bring our guests right on in. How are you guys doing today?
We're doing great, Misha. How are you?
I am fantastic. Thank you so much for saying yes and yes to our community. If you guys wouldn't mind just starting off by just introducing yourselves and letting the people know about your platform.
Absolutely. I am Kristen Jordan.
I am Montel Jordan. We have been in the music business prior to ministry for nearly 20-something years as recording artists.
We'll call that 20-something.
20-something years as recording artist and manager. And more recently, we have been in full-time ministry as pastors of a virtual church and as leaders of a marriage retreat center located in Georgia, where we help public marriages heal in private.
Ooh, that's juicy. I like that from a brand perspective. Yeah, I was talking with a friend of mine before we started this interview, and I was like, girl, I'm dating myself. I was like, oh, we were singing your song, of course. And I was like, I'm not going to date myself today. But
that just means that you had good parenting.
That's all. That's all it means. Timeless stuff there.
No, actually, that was our theme song for my high school graduation.
That's so cool.
Our platform is definitely I am a grown woman, 46. I say it all the time. Shout out to Good Skin. Our platform is definitely for grown women that are really trying to create a business and a life that they love.
That's wonderful.
Love that.
And thank you for what you do. We appreciate that we get to be with you today.
Thank you so much. So let's jump right into that, because love is a big topic right now. And so I want to talk about the business of love and how did we come to a retreat center for marriages?
So we are very passionate about marriages, and we're passionate because we will call it, so when you're in the music business, not a lot of marriages survive, right? So we got married before we were ever in the music business. A lot of people don't know that. And I was his manager. And when we went to the label, they told us if he is married, they're not going to want to buy records from an unavailable R&B artist. And as a manager, they're not going to respect you to be the wife. And I was like, oh, wait. I earned this weight. So we decided... in not such a good way, but basically we got into the music business and nobody knew we were married, so that we could be successful. Because I grew up in a single mom home, and she used to give me the moniker, hey, self-sufficient, independent, you got this, you're going to succeed at everything you put your hands to, girl. And I believe that moniker with everything in my soul. So when they were like, you may not be successful because you're married, I was like, I don't know. But that set us up for quite an interesting journey in the music business.
So marriage got to be very important to us because at some point through all the trial and the journey that we had gone through, from art imitating life and life imitating art, all of those different pieces came down to a decision of if we wanted to be successful or if we wanted to be significant. And so we chose our marriage over the music business. We chose ministry over music. All of those different pieces led us into not just trying to make sure that we had a healthy marriage, but that other people that we were watching crash and burn would have resources available to them and tools to be able to help them make it through marriage. And so part of what we determined was that, if divorce is an option for you, you have too many options. And we know that that's a statement that causes a lot of friction. It causes a lot of static. A lot of people, they draw their line, in the sand, that if this is what happens, then
I'm out.
Then I'm out. And we've learned that most people, or a lot of people, go into marriage with an exit strategy rather than an eternal strategy. And so we're just trying to come together as kind of spiritual strategists to bring biblical application to allow marriages, especially Black marriages, which are extremely important, to see family legacy intact based on us leaving the success of the world to have a success and significance in the body of Christ.
So we traded success for significance because for us, we felt like it was imperative to our legacy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so that's interesting. And one of the things that stuck with me earlier is when you said public marriages heal in private. And a lot of the women in our community are having their first taste of stardom in terms of like, I'm quasi internet famous, like there's
Right.
maybe 8,000 people that care about me every day. And so what advice would you give when people are sort of balancing that one person, even though you were in the background supporting his career, but one person feels like they're rising to stardom and the other person is sort of, okay, they're here, but they're not getting any rah-rah.
Well, the thing is that I think one of the things that we look at most is that God never intended us to balance our careers and marriage. We have to prioritize. And the thing is, if you don't have the right priority in your marriage, you're going to set yourself up for a fail. And so I cannot possibly say that I'm going to balance my career and my marriage. My marriage is far more important than my career. I may change careers. I may change situations. I may change products, whatever that may be that I'm supporting. But the truth of the matter is this is my forever. And if we're riding all the way to heaven, then I got to treat it accordingly. And if this is my most valuable relationship, then I have to treat it as such.
But by definition, balancing something is giving something equal value to something else. And so even when it not just comes to career and marriage, if it comes to marriage and parenting, if I'm trying to give my children equal and value, balance them with my wife, that's out of order. I don't have things prioritized because our kids know, hey, mommy and me come first.
Facts.
Even if you were here first,
facts,
mommy and me still come first because some things are meant to be prioritized, which makes it easier to balance. So for that couple or for that person in a relationship or friendship even, that somebody's getting more exposure or they're getting more like you say, more rah-rah, just understand that those 8,000 people that's liking and following, or the 100,000 people that's liking, or 10, whatever that,
it doesn't
that
matter.
number is, that what I would say to you is don't let the people who know you the least define you the most.
Ooh, okay. You production people drop that gem. We can put that
in a tweet. She just fell in love a little bit more. Like that. Yeah, I've dealt with that, wondering what people think when I want to post something, I want to say something, or how this is going to be viewed, or what people are going to say about. Don't let the people who know you the least define you the most. And I think when you come to that conclusion that God defines me, what I do doesn't even define me.
That's right.
A lot of people are defined by what they do, and really what you do doesn't define you. Who you are defines what you do. And when you start to be able to prioritize that in your life, then I think you have a clarity that allows you to function in the foreground or in the background of whatever success may be coming.
Ooh, that was rich, ladies. Write that one down again. We're gonna put that in a tweet. We're gonna give Montell his credit. Don't worry. But that was so fantastic. And so if we stick in that area, when marriages, so I think a lot of people start to look for support once the marriage gets rocky, once there's an issue. So what are some things as busy entrepreneurs that the women, and primarily I want to talk to the women here, because I like when we take control of what we have control over. And so what are some things that women can do when they're the busy one to really kind of make sure they're sustaining things in their marriage?
I think setting clear expectations. I think if you don't allow them to know what a win is, there's no way they can win. You set them up for a fail if you don't tell them what a win is. And so if these are my expectations of you, and these are the things that I'm requiring for you, or even that I'm thinking, a lot of times we have our own script that we have from childhood, right? Of this is how this is supposed to go. Or even if we have a mentor or somebody that has maybe a different scenario than us, and that script may not necessarily work for you. You got to make sure you tweak your script to work your situation, right? So I'll tell him, these are my expectations. And then he can either tell me, A, I can meet those expectations, or B, let me adjust your expectations, or C, I can't meet those expectations, and here's why. And then that way we now are on the same page. A lot of times our crosswire, our miscommunication, or any friction that comes from, I have an expectation of you, I haven't shared it with you, and yet my anticipation is that you're going to meet it. He's not a mind reader. He has no crystal ball. This is not how this goes. And so, and vice versa. And so at the end of the day, it's mine to own in order to set what my expectations are.
And I completely agree. I think, first of all, I am all about empowerment of women. I'm about empowerment of Black women. I'm about empowerment of the voices coming together to make a more powerful statement. So part of what we get to do, and I'm gonna go ahead and put it out here, because we've navigated this, for many years. Our women come in many shades.
Yeah.
They come in many different.
Don't let the yellow fool you.
Yes, we got. And so from that, but from that standpoint, it's just we have to be able to understand that because our women are so diverse in how they wear their hair, or what they're, from Afrocentric to whatever, all of those voices and all those expressions of Blackness, all those expressions of humanity are extremely important. And so we've been very fortunate to be able to have a very diverse family, but we want to make sure that our voices matter, speaking into things, that, like, babe, when you're talking about how we are prioritizing our families and our kids and our grandkids, our legacy, the legacy of our families is at stake. And so by you expressing, hey, this is my expectation, what you're doing is you're setting a standard.
Yeah, a framework. And the truth is that it's the setup for a win. And I'm also, not only am I setting the expectation for he and I'm also setting expectation for my children. Because one of the things for us is that we had to figure this out. There was no template for us to run from. And so part of our error, or trial and error, if you will, was that we had to figure it out from scratch. And so that's where it comes into play. Does that make sense?
No, absolutely. I love that, setting expectations. I mean, because that's a business principle that we will do with our team, with, someone we're negotiating a contract with. But then when it comes to our relationships, it's like, well, I'm not going to tell you exactly, or even give you a framework for what I need. I'm just, and I almost think, and this is just me being honest about myself, I think for a long time, I was afraid to ask for what I wanted in my marriage for fear of the legacy.
Wow.
For fear of rejection, probably too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that they wouldn't want to meet the expectation. And the truth of the matter is that they love you the most. They want to win. They want to exceed and excel. And oftentimes we don't give them the opportunity, yet we'll hold them to the standard of, well, but you didn't meet this expectation. It's like, but I didn't know.
I love it. And so in addition to the retreat center, if you could give us sort of a look into the empire, what are the other pieces of the business on this on similar missions, and on whatever other missions that that you have?
Yeah, well, first of all, what we're doing is we have a 13,000 square foot property in Decula, Georgia, that is the estate, if you will, where on these 6 acres of land that we say we are trying to help public marriages heal in private. And so from that standpoint, initially, we're trying to do it to where we're able to bring 4 to 5 couples at a time with a host couple into a safe space, NDAs, all of that, where they can come in, they can be fed well, they can relax, they get the word of God, they get marriage and family therapy from licensed therapists. They have an opportunity to basically heal in a space that is safe for them. And so from that standpoint, this facility also serves as a virtual house church, which we are using to basically serve doing our weekly services at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so that we can, we say, import marriages and export ministry. And so that's the main template that we've been working from, with marriages and ministry. And then we still tour
Yep.
We still go out and do shows and performances because of our musical past that leaves an open door. And really the virtual ministry is being built from that space of going out and touring.
And the reason we started the church is for the last decade, we've been walking through with high-profile couples behind the scenes or on the backside of the mountain, if you will, helping them talk them off the wall, right? So to stay in their marriage and stay connected and fight for it, right? So what we were finding is as we're having you fight for your marriage, what happens is that now what? After we're off the wall, after we're good, but we still have to stay connected, right? And so in that connection, what happens is it's a point of reference. So weekly, you have a point of reference so you can stay tuned so that you can be on one accord, so you can check out what's happening and make sure it's like a tune-up, right? So you wouldn't run the car until it doesn't have any oil and it doesn't have any gas. This is so that you can have a regular checkup every week, so we can have a heart checkup, right? And that's the condition, and that's how we can meet them right where they're at, because a lot of times these the people that we are ministering to can't technically go to a church. Can you sign my Bible? Can you take a picture? It's like, ugh, they have to have an authentic worship experience, but usually they have to do that at home in order to have that. And they'll have their family and their friends around to experience it with them. And so we're going to meet them right where they're at.
Right.
Oh, I love that. See, they know their audience, ladies. That's really important to your brand and your business, to know how to best serve the people you're called to serve. So sticking in that, a lot of the ladies, one of the principles is I want to have a passion, but I also want to have a profit. And we are running businesses here. So what does the rest of the team look like that supports the operation?
So we have an operations manager who runs all of our situations, and she she is the master calendar. And then we also have an assistant that does all the micromanaging of gets into the details, right? So this is I'm casting vision, and then they do the da, 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 da,
We have amazing Black women who are running the empire.
Absolutely.
Just
taking over the world,
so you know,
one shop at a time.
And I take very, very good notes to be able to do my part in this world.
It's like, hey, this is where you need to be at this time and with this purpose.
100%.
I love it.
But doesn't he look cute?
Listen.
I think that's, but it really, seeing you together and then having known, watch Montell's career, right? And then seeing you together, it makes sense, right? Like we've always known him to be very put together, have a great sort of energy and stage presence. And some of that can be attributed to when you have some good energy, whether you've had ups, downs, trials, tribulations, but there's just distinct energy that I feel between you. And I feel like I've seen it before.
If I could just jump in there for a second, I think especially because of your viewership and the people that read and stand on what you do, women are multipliers. You have the capability within you when you're talking about building your brand, building your business, allowing your voice to be heard and magnified. You are multipliers. It's like, I think there's this whole thing to talk about, a man, can give you a seed and you can take that and you make it into a family. We can give you something and you can turn it into a meal. Whatever we allow and that we present, you as women have the capability of taking that and multiplying it, kind of like Jesus did with the fish and the loaves. Y'all have the capability of doing that. And when you understand that, you can take an idea and a concept and you can build a business. You can take a couple of people and you can build an organization. You have that ability. And so I think that's part of what we've been, very, very good at doing. We're developing very, very beautiful, strong Black men and sons in our family who are
amazing,
cultivated and being multiplied with the gifts and the talents that have been brought to the table from the women in our family. And we're not just talking about my wife, but we're talking about my son's wives. We're talking about my mom and my grandmoms. And, it's a legacy of strong Black men because we have the support system of strong women who have been there, to be a part of our foundation. So I don't know who that's for out there, but I want you to know those things go hand in hand. They've gone hand in hand.
And you know what the thing too is that you can lead and also follow.
Ooh, rich.
So I know how to be a businesswoman, a CEO, an executive, but I also know how to submit and follow my husband, who is hearing from the Lord on where we're going.
Yeah.
Oh, can we
And
stay in
there's
that?
power in that.
If we could stay in that for a minute, because there is this internet conversation where there's negative energy towards that. And so Kristin, if you would stick in how you came to that positioning to be okay, to be in a place where you're like, I'm okay with that. I want to follow and trust my husband's judgment and all of those things, because there's just all this negative energy around you can't be strong and follow your husband.
Well, the interesting thing is, so I learned early on from my mom, who's a single mom, right? So that mantra of the single, you got this feel, what happens is totally counterproductive to marriage. Okay. So because then you come in, I'm trying to run something, it's like, sit down, like relax. And so I had to unlearn some of my behaviors, and I had a very strong personality. But what the truth is that what I learned is it's totally counterculture to marriage. And so really it was through my relationship with the Lord of like, I want our marriage to be strong. He's like, great, sit down. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wait, what? And he was like, listen, you have to trust the me and him. You got to let me deal with him. I don't need you to correct him. I don't need you to talk to. If you got an issue with him, you bring it to me and I'll deal with that. And for me, this is the most effective way, because the truth is that the Lord is leading him. So I have no problem submitting to him. There was a season and a time where it wasn't like that. And here's the truth. Even if it's not like that, God still requires us when we're married to submit. And it's in our submission that we'll win their hearts. And then they want to follow God, because the truth is that if they're not following God and they got to have all the answers, the only way you win is if it's more than just you.
And let me say this, because when you say the word submit, I know that.
Oh yeah,
I know my black women
in
business. That word,
it was a cuss word to me.
That word obey.
Listen, it was a cuss word to me. I'm not gonna lie to you, but what I learned is that what that means is that I can be strong and still meek. I can be powerful, but still know that I have authority over me.
The definition of meek is strength under control. People think they mistake meekness for weakness.
That's not weakness.
Meek is not weak. Meek is the meek shall inherit the earth. Those that have strength under control have the ability to inherit the earth. And so just from a scriptural place, when Jesus says, I only do what I see my Father do, he was submitted to his Father. And so the entire template that we're given in the Bible deals with submission. And we don't understand that there's a safety that comes in submission. When everything went to hell in a handbasket back in the Garden of Eden, God didn't come through the garden saying, Eve, Adam, where y'all at? He didn't ask where y'all was at. He came out, he said, Adam, where are you? Because in the hierarchy of authority, in order for there to be a safety that was there, Adam had the ability basically to be able to help save that situation with his wife.
He could have changed that whole dynamic.
He threw Eve under the bus. He was
He's like, yo, God.
That woman you gave me.
And he did, and listen, he didn't even throw Eve under the bus. He threw God under the bus.
That's true.
He was like, hey, that woman you gave me. This is your doing. This ain't even her. You did this. And so just from the standpoint of, I wonder if he had said, God, listen, I wasn't watching. I wasn't paying attention like I should have. You gave me stewardship over something and I didn't watch. I wasn't with my wife. I wasn't where I was supposed to be alongside of her so that the enemy could come in and even tempt her. And God, please forgive us. Like there was none of that. And
I would have changed the whole script.
Could have.
And the truth of the matter is that I've done it the other way. And the one thing that I can tell you is that what good does it do when I tear him down? Yeah. In order for me to be, when two people are leading, then there's two heads. Anything with two heads is a freak. Division.
And not a freak.
One vision,
Not a
not
freak
in
in a good way.
Not the freak of the week.
Not that kind
of.
But guess what? There's a vision. When you have a vision means there's one vision. In order to have one vision, you have to be on the same place and on the same accord. Two visions equals division. And that's how people get divorced. That's how people put their businesses or those things over your marriage, which allows them to forfeit their legacy chasing paper.
And they don't understand it when we talk about submission. We're submitted to each other.
Facts.
So it's not just she submitted to me. I'm submitted to her because I'm submitted to God. And being submitted to God, he requires me to do things for her on her behalf because this is his daughter. And so I'm
he
submitted
represents
to him.
him. So in other words, like I'm God's representative to him. It tells me to be kind. It tells me to be, he doesn't have to ask me to be compassionate because he made me like that. He made us as women like that, but he tells me to honor and respect. And how I honor and respect is I honor and respect what you're going to say. Guess what? I also know that if you didn't do something right, that God will deal with that. I don't have to.
Right.
I
trust the Lord and I trust him and I trust the God in him.
Woo! I feel like I need all the clicks, all the snaps. This is so good. So many gems. I can't wait to share this in interview form so that you don't miss anything. Ladies that are watching the video, we're going to, of course, do all of our things and make sure you get all the gems from this interview. But there's so many good things because what we believe in here at Black Women Mean Business is a 360 woman. It's not, you cannot build the business and not build the woman because it all crumbles. We're not focused on the 360. And so I love that there. And so before we get out of here, I want to dive into how we can support you and some of the initiatives that are important to you guys right now in terms of products and offers.
Absolutely. Well, one, we'd love you to join us on Sunday nights at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tune in and get a little piece of what we're doing here.
That's Masterpiece Church.
Absolutely.
Not Master P, like
Percy Miller. Not like Percy Miller.
Let me jump in here for just a quick second. So Masterpiece Church, we did talk about that a little bit, but I think I want to highlight that a lot more. Tell us about the Masterpiece Church. And it's a virtual church. You guys heard that. But how do we say, okay, look, next Sunday we having our own service at the Masterpiece Church.
That's right. Yeah. So guess what? You invite the friends that you want to share a meal with, a dessert with, someone you would want to have more and do more life with.
Neighbor, co-worker, family members. But part of the thing that we learned was, especially during the pandemic, we learned that every church was virtual.
Facts.
For a minute. If you had the capability, when the world shut down, everybody had to go to the virtual format. But people were looking at doing church as normal and trying to stream a normal church service into people's homes, to people's televisions, to people's cell phones. And we deal with a lot of people who don't live normal lives. We deal with artists, we deal with sports athletes, professional folks that maybe on a Sunday you can't get up and get dressed and roll to somebody's church and move in and get through the parking lot and do the dance to get to Golden Corral afterwards. Like for a lot of people, it's difficult to do that. But what we learned was we had a very high profile couple that we were navigating through some good marriage stuff with. And we asked, are you a member of a church? I was like, no, not right now. We're not really going to a church. We watch this guy, we watch that guy. And then we were like watching on their Instagram and saw that on a Sunday night, they had gotten together with it looks like the who's who of Marvel. It was literally like all these actors, all these actresses, entertainers, all over at the house, playing family games, Twister, Jenga, eating card games. And I was like, so you're telling me that on Sundays, you don't go to church, but you'll get together at each other's homes because it's a safe space. They're like, absolutely. So we were like, well, if that's a safe space, before you get together with your friends, would you get together and have a service to get the word in you before y'all enjoy each other's company?
And then we would be the topic. And whatever we're talking about, you guys can chop it up about that.
Yeah. So the idea becomes, that on a Sunday, for people who are not connected to a local church, and we know a lot of people, there are people who are, once again, there are business people, businesswomen, traveling in the airports. They are
most of your entrepreneurs, right?
Entrepreneurs,
nomads.
maybe you're people that are incarcerated, people that are immune compromised. Everybody can't get to a local church. So we designed a ministry from our living room
To yours.
to your living room. It's not from a church building to your living room.
It's like you coming to sit with us.
It's like you coming to sit at
and
our
have dinner.
yeah.
I
Yes,
love
Masterpiece
it.
Church.
Yeah.
Masterpiece Church. And ladies, that's something you can do for yourself in your community if you want to create communities. It's as simple as you turning on the Zoom, the camera, and doing all those things, but just having a purpose and a reason why you're doing it. Okay, and so we can support Masterpiece Church, and how else can we support the Jordans?
We have marriage ministry, basically tools that you can use. We have an 8-week curriculum. It is a 16 chapter book, 2 chapters per week, has a workbook that goes along with it, videos in between. We got devotionals that you can do daily, and you can do it with just you and your husband, or it's designed so that you can do it with
a couple
of friends. And you guys, and it can be a community builder. Our big thing is building community and doing life together, because the truth is that solo pilots crash and burn, and that we're stronger together.
Yeah. And so you can find that information at montellandkristen.com. Montell is with 2 L's. Kristin is Kristin, and it's spelled out AND, montellandkristen.com. And you can get information on the Marriage Masterpiece Retreat Center there, as well as the church, which is masterpiecechurch.com.
Well, I'm going to make sure that all the ladies get linked out to the resources, and also following you on the interwebs across them and staying connected with your message. I thank you guys so much for being here today. It's been so amazing. So many gems were dropped. And as we get out of here, let's just drop one more gem on the ladies. If you guys, just one principle that's super important to you that you want to make sure that everyone gets.
I would say that especially for my women out there who are entrepreneurs, who are homemakers, or whatever you are, because all that is entrepreneurial, regardless. You're building something, you're branding something, you're leaving your mark on the world. I would say know your value, know your worth. Don't discount yourself, because I think that when you know your worth, there's something known as top shelf. And top shelf is, it's not like the regular stuff that's out on the counter that's easily accessible. Top shelf is when you go to a store and they have something behind the glass, or they got something very high up on the shelf. It's because it's expensive and maybe priceless, and everybody can't touch it, and everybody can't have access to it. And so to my ladies, I would just say, know your worth, know your value. Some of you do not belong on the discount rack. You do not belong on that, this has been discounted and this is for sale rack. You belong top shelf. And so that would be my biggest thing.
And I think mine would be know your value, know your worth, but also know who made you.
Yeah.
Know who you belong to. And that means that for me, I have to stay in tune with God and stay on track. I can't think more highly of myself than I ought. And he keeps me on focus and on track every day. So I'm up early. So I would say, get up early, get your thoughts organized, get your direction from the one who made you. And then we can get on track, and there'll be nothing that you can't put your hands to and be.
I think also, if I could just tag on to that, I think Kristin is saying, in order to know who you are, you got to know whose you are.
That's good.
Oh, the one-liners, y'all. We're going to have all the tweets. Yay, I love it so much. Well, thank you so much for spending time with us, Kristin and Montell Jordan. Ladies, I want you to remember one thing. I'm going to drop you with the gem that we have for you. Respect your brilliance. Go out and be brilliant. So until we chit-chat with you guys again, have an amazing day.
Thank you.
Thank you.